I've been cross-dressing alone for 8 years. 8 years of locked doors and drawn curtains. 8 years of Kayla existing only in mirrors and photographs nobody else sees. 8 years of wanting something I thought I'd never have. I wanted to be seen. Not as Joshua, the quiet accountant from my apartment, but as Kayla. As the woman I become when I'm honest with myself. Patrick moved in next door 6 months ago with his wife Courtney. I noticed him immediately. The way everyone notices beautiful things. Dark hair. Strong jaw. The kind of smile that makes you forget what you were thinking about. Courtney was beautiful too. Warm and friendly. She'd wave when we passed in the hallway. Invite me to their dinner parties. Treat me like the neighbor who might become a friend. I hated myself for the thoughts I had about her husband. The opportunity came on a Friday night. Courtney had gone to visit her parents upstate. Patrick knocked on my door around 8 holding a 6-pack and looking lonely. "Courtney's gone for the weekend," he said. "Thought you might want company. Maybe watch the game." I didn't care about whatever game was on. But I said yes because Patrick was standing in my doorway asking. Because loneliness recognizes loneliness. Because I was tired of spending Friday nights alone. We drank beer and made small talk. Patrick told me about his job in construction. About how he and Courtney were trying for a baby. About how sometimes he felt like his life was moving too fast. Getting married at 24. Buying the apartment. Planning for kids. All the things you're supposed to want. I told him about my job. About being single. About the quiet life I'd built that felt safe but empty. 3 beers became 6. The conversation got deeper. More honest. Patrick admitted he sometimes wondered what he'd missed by settling down young. I admitted I sometimes wondered if I'd ever find someone who could love all of me. All of you. Patrick asked. And maybe it was the whiskey. Maybe it was 8 years of hiding. Maybe it was the way Patrick looked at me like he actually wanted to know. But I told him about Kayla. Patrick listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Show me," he said. My heart stopped. "I can't do that." "Show me, Kayla. I want to see what you're talking about." I should have said no. Should have laughed it off. Should have known where this was heading and stopped it before we both made a mistake we couldn't undo. Instead, I went to my bedroom and transformed. Put on the red dress. The wig. The makeup I'd perfected over years of practice. When I walked back into the living room, Patrick stared like he was seeing something he'd been looking for without knowing it. "You're beautiful," he whispered. The kiss happened fast. One moment we were looking at each other. The next his hands were in my hair and mine were pulling him closer. We stumbled to the bedroom. Crossed lines that should have stayed uncrossed. I woke up the next morning with Patrick's arm around my waist and guilt already settling into my chest like concrete. He left before Courtney got home Sunday night. Kissed me goodbye and said we'd talk soon. I spent the day scrubbing away evidence. Washing sheets. Hiding the dress. Pretending nothing had changed when everything had. Patrick started coming over when Courtney worked late. Started finding excuses to see me. Started asking for Kayla instead of settling for Joshua. Each time I told myself it would be the last time. Each time I gave in because being wanted by him felt better than anything I'd ever known. Now, before we go any further, there's something I should quickly mention. A lot of you have been telling me that you want longer, more detailed, and completely uncensored versions of these stories. So I've finally made that possible. You can now access the uncensored ebooks on Pulse Reader over on Gumroad. As a Pulse Reader member, you don't just get this story. You also get access to exclusive ebooks and stories, entry into a private community, and early access to upcoming content and special releases. It's just $5 a month, and there's a 1-week free trial, so you can check it out and cancel anytime if it's not for you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Alright, now let's get back to the story. The affair became routine. Tuesday and Thursday nights when Courtney had her yoga class. Sometimes Friday afternoons when she visited her sister. Small windows of time when Patrick and I could pretend we weren't destroying someone's life. Courtney remained kind. Would bring me leftovers from dinner. Invite me to brunches. Talk about how nice it was to have a friend in the building. Every kindness felt like a knife twisting in my gut. 3 months into the affair, Courtney knocked on my door with tears in her eyes and joy in her voice. "I'm pregnant," she said. "I just found out. You're the first person I'm telling." My blood turned to ice. "Does Patrick know?" "Not yet. His birthday is next month. I'm going to surprise him then." "Can you believe it? We're going to have a baby." She hugged me. I hugged her back while calculating how many times Patrick and I had been together since she got pregnant. How many times he'd left her bed for mine. How many lies he'd told to steal hours with me. That night Patrick came over. I told him about the pregnancy. Watched his face go through several emotions. "That's amazing," he said. But he didn't sound amazed. He sounded trapped. "You need to end this," I said. "End us. Focus on your family." "I don't want to end us. I need you, Kayla. I need this. What you need is to be a good husband. A good father. Can I be both?" The question made my stomach turn. Patrick wanted everything. Wanted the respectable life with Courtney and the secret life with me. Wanted to eat his cake while his wife carried his child. I wanted to let him. God help me, I wanted to say yes. To keep being Kayla for him. To keep taking whatever scraps of attention he could spare. To ignore Courtney and the baby and the devastation we'd cause if the truth came out. For 2 weeks I considered it. Considered being the other woman. Considered helping Patrick betray his family. Considered choosing my own happiness over the lives we'd ruin. But every time Courtney smiled at me in the hallway, I saw the future. Saw the moment she'd find out. Saw her trying to understand how I could do this to her. How Patrick could. Saw the child growing up in a broken home because 2 selfish people couldn't control themselves. I called Patrick over on a Tuesday. He arrived expecting Kayla. Found Joshua instead. "We need to talk," I said. Patrick's face fell. He knew. Could read it in my body language. I told him it was over. That I'd met someone else. That what we had was just a fling that ran its course. The lies came easier than I expected. Easier than the truth would have been. Patrick tried to argue. Tried to convince me to reconsider. But I held firm. Told him to go home to his wife. To be grateful for what he had instead of risking it for something that could never be real. He left angry. Hurt. Confused about how I could throw away what we had. I didn't tell him I was doing it for Courtney. For the baby. For the family he'd almost destroyed chasing something he thought he wanted more than what he already had. I didn't tell him I loved him. That ending this was killing me. That every day I'd have to see him in the hallway knowing what we'd been to each other would be torture. I just let him think I didn't care. Let him hate me instead of hate himself. A month later, Courtney knocked on my door glowing. Told me she'd surprised Patrick with the pregnancy news. Said he'd cried with joy. Said they'd never been happier. I smiled and congratulated her. Felt relief and agony in equal measure. Relief that I'd ended it before the damage became permanent. Agony that the price of doing right was losing the first person who'd ever wanted Kayla. Patrick stopped looking at me in the hallway after that. Would rush past without making eye contact. Eventually they moved to a bigger apartment across town. Room for the baby. A fresh start. I never told anyone what happened. Never explained to friends why I was suddenly so broken. Just let them think I was dealing with generic heartbreak instead of the specific hell of giving up the only person who'd ever made me feel seen. Kayla still exists. Still lives in my closet and bathroom mirror. But she's lonelier now. Because being seen by the wrong person taught me that visibility without ethics is just another form of hiding. I spent 8 years wanting someone to see Kayla. Got my wish. Learned that being seen isn't enough if what you're doing in that visibility hurts innocent people. Patrick was never mine. He was Courtney's. And the baby's. And I was never anything but a mistake he almost made permanent. Some fantasies should stay fantasies. Some desires should stay locked away. Some parts of yourself shouldn't be shared with people who belong to someone else. I learned that the hard way. At the cost of the only relationship where Kayla felt real. But I learned it before the cost included a destroyed marriage and a child growing up in wreckage. That has to count for something. Even if it feels like nothing on the nights when I'm alone and aching and remembering how it felt to be wanted. The secret cross-dresser for the man next door learned that some secrets should stay secret, that some men shouldn't be pursued, that protecting innocent people matters more than your own happiness. Even when that lesson leaves you empty. Even when doing right feels like punishment. Even when you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what if it had been different. Some prices are worth paying. This was mine, and I carry it with me, not because it was easy, but because it was honest.